Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Catherine and today I'll be going through what hands-off property investing is, what it means, why it's useful for a certain type of property investor. I'll be debunking some common misconceptions about what hands-off means from my experience and if it's potentially something that might be beneficial for you. So firstly, what does hands-off investing mean? What do we mean by hands-off? So a common misconception about what hands-off means is, for example, oh, I'm gonna just get in touch with a management company, a management agency to look after the property that I own, or even an Airbnb property. Oh, they're gonna deal with it. Yes, to an extent. How do you know that that management company is someone you can trust? Do they have a track record? Is it someone you can fully be hands-free with? For example, if you're a teacher and you're at school and you're getting on with your lesson plans and teaching your class, but then you're having calls from the management company that things aren't working, or even worse, you find out the management company hasn't even shown up and a guest turns up at your Airbnb and the proper sequence in which things are meant to happen for the property to be ready for the next guest isn't ready because you thought you'd fully outsource that to a company that were legitimate and you could trust, when in reality that hands-off experience has become fully hands-on for you now, even to the point of distracting you in your full-time job and your occupation. Now that is a common misconception of hands-off has to mean a management company or someone that you're working with. No, I'd argue that that isn't hands-free, because you still have to make sure that you vetted the company you're working with. You have to make sure that your systems are in place to make sure that they're getting paid on time, they're getting paid the right chunk, the management company, and you know that they're getting the job done. And also, you have to think, if you're growing a business, if you're looking from a business perspective, how many properties will I need under management? How much profit will I be turning over as a company? What does that all look like for you? Suddenly it becomes another job and you're not as hands-off as you thought you were, even though on paper it sounds like it's the case that you're going to be hands-free, when actually all you've done is outsource one of the tasks to another company. Meanwhile, you're still there worrying about the logistics and everything. See what I mean? So that's a common misconception about hands-free and hands-off, and it's just useful to get that out there, because having built a lot of reputation and got started within, for example, the rent-to-rent strategy and that sort of industry, a lot of people will just naturally, and it's completely fair enough, they will just naturally assume that you're talking about a management company, when in reality I mean something much different, which is what I'm going to be referring to now. So hands off, how I define it, is whereby you are investing completely bandwidth free, completely hands free into property without shedding even an ounce of your bandwidth into it, without putting your time, without putting your mental, physical exertion, energy, without putting anything other than what you're prepared to invest into it, and then making sure that you're happy with everything before you get started, 100% comfortable. Great, happy days. Okay, oh, year later, got notification, got my annual return, great, happy days. Second year, annual return, cha-ching, great, happy days. Third year, all going swell. You know what, I like this, money's growing, I'm good, got that flexibility anytime, completely hands-free, it's a win-win. Leave it there, I wanna reinvest for another 3 years. More in that strategy, if you want more information, I can give that to you, but just message me directly, or I can do another video as well. So, do you see the difference? One of them, you've got another job, you're just calling it outsourced because you're using a management company to help you, whether it's managing a buy-to-let or an Airbnb property. And the second one is where you are 100% hands-off, to the point where you've already done your due diligence on the companies that you're working with. You already know, like, and trust them. You know exactly how it works because of other people, you've seen testimonials, countless of them, and real life case studies into the security as well. That's how I would define hands-free, where you are 100% completely hands-off from the project, but your funds are still growing and you're still making a great return on investment without having to touch anything to do with the property. Now, who would this strategy be useful? If someone came to me and said, look, I want to be the next big property enthusiast, I want to be known for being in the paint, in the refurbs, get me some content with the property. I want to be absolutely thriving and living life in the property world, and I want to be fully hands-on. I would not tell someone like that, okay, brilliant, here's a completely hands-off strategy for you, because end of the day, that person is someone who would want to be, hands-on, doing the paintwork, whether it was Airbnb management, whether it was just managing your own properties, getting a normal tenant in, which isn't a strategy I'd suggest because of the rising interest rates, and also the returns just aren't as good. You're not getting a good enough yield as you would have done maybe 20 years ago. But for someone like that, I'd say completely understand. I'd go and find them, source them a hands-on deal that they can go and take care of themselves. But if you maybe can identify yourself as someone who maybe you just absolutely love, you've done a really, really good job of your career over the last few years, maybe you're just getting started and that's the path for you and you don't want to distract from that, or you have a lot of time, maybe you're running another business and your time is mostly spent there and you don't have the physical means, you've got children, maybe you're thinking of having children, you've got other responsibilities, whether it's family, relationships, business, holidays, lifestyle. If you're someone who essentially doesn't have the time to put into another kettle of fish, into property full-time or even part-time, then hands-off investing would be absolutely ideal for you. And if you are someone who maybe has some funds to deploy and you want to learn more about the strategy, definitely I'd suggest just having a little look at some of our social links, some of my social links below. You can get a better idea of like how it works, things like that, sort of returns you'd be getting, the security, what it's backed by, things like that, all the good stuff. Hopefully this video has shown you the difference between what most people think is a hands-off experience in property versus what investing hands-off really looks like. For more information, or if you want me to cover anything in more detail, just drop me a comment below and I can't wait to hear from you. Bye guys.